warm welcome for this afternoon session about ITSM integration. My name is Wilhelm Jütte. Some of you might already know me. I'm Chief Product Owner for Support. And with me on stage, Frédéric Ozon, our head developer for the ITSM integration workstream. So we will take the next 30 minutes to talk about where we are, what is new, what is there on the roadmap, and all of that circles around integrating customers and partners' ITSM solutions into the SAP support and service backbone. So let's start right away. What we will cover in the next 30 minutes, and we want deliberately to take the last 5 minutes for questions. So we will speed up. We will talk about the ITSM integration, where we are at the moment, what is the current status, what updates are there compared to last year, where are we with the VAR delivered support model in supporting ITSM integration. We will have a live demo of something we call kind of the decoupled SAP knowledge integration, which is a new option. And then we will give an outlook into some topic where we were kind of poked from you for quite a while about service request integration. Starting always in the beginning where we are today, there are two core integrations we deliver now for over a year. I would say they work as planned. The demand is there. Customers are using them. Basically, the outage notification data as kind of the source for any operational workflow from the backbone to any ITSM solution you might have. We still are with the approach of supporting any vendor, so there's no focus or no limitation to any ITSM solution provider or vendor. We offer that for all of them. Technically, they're all REST APIs. Then here the classical support ticket integration. With that, you can create support tickets, maintain support tickets, read them until fulfillment, until solution. So from start to end, the classical ticket integration that is currently still available via the solution manager and should also represent the solution in case you move. And number three, the proactive tickets, mainly critical for operational support. From an SAP perspective, more and more relevant, because those are the tickets that our operational units create for you. So it's the same kind of format of ticket, same content, but it comes from SAP, for example, in case of a specific critical situation. And another example is the PCRM, that program we started where we looked into operational risks and inform customers or partners proactively via ticket. These proactive tickets, because that question sometimes comes up, look more or less the same. They have an additional indicator about what we call a scenario that will allow you to control them in specific workflows. Imagine there's a specific risk you might in the future also subscribe. This is what we have in mind. And then this proactive ticket would alert you and ask for some interaction. And then with that indicator, you can internally trigger any specific workflow. So that's the core system. Since last year, what was added just recently, we took our knowledge service, the AI-based knowledge service, and decoupled it from the ticketing. What does this mean for you as customers or as partners? That's quite interesting. It means that you can integrate support knowledge documents, which include documentation, community content, KBAs, and SAP notes, including, I would say, very strong AI recommender or an AI-based search into your support process. Not necessarily, and we'll come to that, into a ticketing process. You can offer them at any place in your ITSM solution. Might be very early when there's no SAP ticket even envisioned. And the other new kid on the block, service request integration, will come later to that point. It's based on customer demands, mainly above all RISE customers. What can we do regarding the integration of RISE specific service requests? The effort scenario is always the same. There's the need to go into SAP for me to create them. There's the need to go there to understand, read them, and follow until fulfillment. Therefore, understood, so we put that on the roadmap. We come to this a little later. Architecture-wise, super high level, nothing specifically changed. Still, in the middle or in the core is your ITSM solution. As said, it might be anything, and Cloud ILM. Once you have Cloud ILM, you can start the integration, indicated with this green arrow in the middle. Yeah, it's a REST API integration, so you have a lot of freedom here, where you put it, how you put it, that is totally up to you, partner and customer equally foreseen, and then you cover your entire landscape. On the other side, Cloud ILM takes care that everything gets to the right spot. We are sometimes asked, is this integrating directly into any specific solution on SAP side? The answer is that is in fact not relevant. We take care that all documents go to the right receiving end on that side, so therefore you can operate with the REST API endpoints. This is the option you have always to do that on your own according to your needs. I also want to mention that there's also, since we went live, partners of SAP who offer these out-of-the-box integrations, specifically for ServiceNow. There's a few that offer these solutions, and a few of these people are here in the room, so feel free after the meeting or after this presentation to connect, which has the benefit that you can, for example, take a plugin, so you don't have to configure the integration. The integration is part of the plugin, so the processes can be in focus and should be in focus. This is also something Frederic and I learned from the integration. This is mainly a process integration, much more than a technical integration. So this is needed, but the main focus is always then on the mapping between the different documents to transfer what we call an SAP ticket, and I think we all know that very well. The fields didn't change in the last 5 decades, and your own support process. Yeah? So that mapping is core, and therefore the focus is here in these plugins as well on the tuning. You can configure the integration according to your needs. Now, let's briefly talk about the VAR delivered support model. I think there's quite a number of VAR partners that reached out to us in the last year with the simple question, is the VAR partner model also supported by the API integration? Now, we are happy to announce that with Q4 this year, so until end of this year, we want to make this officially available. So we plan to make the integration option available for the VAR delivered support model. What is the difference? The difference is technically that we have a few additional services in the VAR delivered model. It's mainly about those customer data, the S users, the landscape data from that specific customers that need to be retrieved. So that will be offered. Of course, there's the ticket integration according to the VAR delivered model that will be integrated. And then there's the master data, as I mentioned before, that need to be retrieved regularly. Of course, and I come to that later, to support knowledge integration for VAR partners. That can be super interesting because you can put it at that spot where you benefit most in supporting your customers. And it's like for the other integration too, this is totally compatible to SAP standards. So if you worked with the SAP Solution Manager before, you can work with that in the same way, in same field, same data, so fully backwards compatible, and therefore it should be a good migration to these APIs when you operate the VAR model. Technically, REST APIs, yeah, from an integration standpoint, it requires that skills around the integration. As said, there's no other limitations here. By the way, we delivered it technically and also commercially via the extension tenant of Cloud ILM. So that's important. It's mentioned here as well. So this extension tenant is required to operate these APIs for VAR partners. And last but not least, and we have here Markus Blesi from the partner program from SAP here in the room. As always, the partner program will communicate all the details, the contractual and compliance details around the contract, and when we go live and make that available for you as VAR partner in due course. So if there's questions to the partner program, my colleague Markus is here in the room. Right, that's that. Now, let's talk about support knowledge. Let's have a look what this is. Technically, it was to a certain extent already available, but we identified based on the requests from customers that some customers said, okay, we have these cool recommender you also have in the Get Support app, but we would like to decouple it from the ticketing. Yeah, there was a Swiss customer who even showed me a screen where he has recommendations of his own knowledge, which is a typical scenario. You have your in-house documents, and they're often used for your IT departments. So the simple ask was, can we add SAP knowledge to that easily? And now, since these last changes, the answer is yes. What we see here is fixtures, yeah, a kind of screen, but it could be something you can easily implement. So via the integration, you could, for example, implement an SAP knowledge search for all those objects I mentioned. You can also use a recommender. So this interface, and Frederic, he will show this in a demo shortly, is quite flexible. So you can give as much content as you want, yeah, and you will get very strong results. So that is kind of the peak of development of our AI recommenders. And as said, there's no limitations. And what is also worth to mention is that besides these flexible input parameters, you get regular updates. So we plan, for example, and we'll talk about this briefly too, for generic answering. And we think that is something worth for us to share with you as well. So we don't hold back, because in the end, that's kind of a shift left. Yeah? Whatever you can solve yourself faster, will not become a ticket. So it's a win-win situation. Therefore, whatever we invest in AI, knowledge recommendations and self-service, we plan to expose via this API. Good. And with that, Fred, over to you for a demo and more insights into the technicalities around the APIs.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Let's try to see if the technique works. Okay. I will start with a little bit the documentation. It's always a question that we have with all the customers. Where is the documentation and how can I find the information about the API? So you have to go to the Business Accelerator Hub. Okay, you will find all the different API which are available for us, and you will find the ITSM one. And what is the subject here is we have one which is added inside, which is a self-service API. Okay, so this one is available. Okay, here you can see all the type of API which are available, like case management, self-service, attachment, contact, component, landscape. And if we go for the self-service, here you will find two endpoints, okay, which is one for get recommendation and one for get categories. Okay, so I will demonstrate the get recommendations, but the get categories is for if you are an SAP expert, you know that every ticket has to be opened with a SAP component. Okay, this is a place where you can find the component which is about your issue. Okay, and if I look to the details of this API here, it's just a question of a list of parameters that you have to provide, and you will have the solutions. Okay, so in terms of list of parameters, this is quite simple. Today, this is what we changed before with the first version of the API, is that we have only the description which is mandatory. Of course, if you need to find a solution to something, you have to describe it. Okay, we cannot find a solution without the description. Okay, but you have a list of different, this is what is there. Maybe it's not really highlighted, but this is what is there. Okay, so to increase the accuracy of the solution, you can provide a list of different parameters which are subject, description, step to reproduce, the component, the SAP component, okay, customer number, like that we are able to see from which solution you are from, okay, system ID and selection number, like that we can find really a solution which is adapted to your systems. Okay, so this is just to see what is there. So you provide a parameter, you call the URL, and we send back a list of answers. But today we answer the 10 best test best matching answer. Okay, so we give it on a pre-format, okay, which gives you the solutions, the link to the KBA, it is a document, is it a community entry, and so on and so on. And everything in the answer is based on this intelligence artificial, where we look for all the content which is inside SAP. Okay? So simple, one endpoint, one parameter, description, and you have the answer. Okay, so here we have a small, sorry if I'm not wrong, we have just built, okay, I'm sorry, this is recordings, but this is, you can imagine that you have built your own interface, okay, where you are the Acme and corporate company, okay, and you have the SAP services where you have a short description and a problem description, okay, quite simple, okay, I'm connected to my UI and say, okay, I want to have a solution to my issue. So basically what I will do is that I will enter my descriptions, okay, maybe I will go faster. Okay, this is my issue, and I will face the problem description. And when you call us, okay, you will have a suggested list of answers like that. It's I'm sorry, it's going quite fast. I'm also sorry for the UI. It's just a demo, so it's not well formatted. But the idea is there. So here we give you a suggested answer for your issue, okay? And what you have to notice also that we are also able to give you the type of answer. So is it a knowledge article? Is it a SAP note? If it is a document, it will give you a document. If it is an entry in the blog, it will give you the entry in the blog. Okay, so here you will see, and here you will have the content and the link to the different solutions. Okay. So if I continue just to run the demo, okay, so here you have the titles, which is linked. So of course you can see that we are able also to say to you, this is the best match, so it should answer your question mainly. Okay, so we are able also to give you an order list of answers. Okay, so the first one is the best one, and we are going like that until the 10th one. Okay, we do not give more answer, and here. In our UI, we imagine that we want to have something more accurate, okay, and to be able to be more accurate. Okay, what you can provide? For example, you can provide the SAP component. Okay, so this is what we put in the demo, so that you have the capacity to go to advanced mode. This is our demo. Huh? Okay, and here I will enter a component, an SAP component. Okay, a CSN component. I could also enter the step to reproduce my issue, and it will change the result, of course, based on this, because it will concentrate on this entry. Okay. And here, what you will have, okay, automatically, it's quite fast from the. Today we didn't talk about that, but the ITSM API is live since the beginning of this year. Okay, yeah. we improve it a little bit, but we have around 15 million to 20 million calls a month on this interface. Okay, you can see that it's a high level of calls. We have big customers which are already live with that. Okay, and you can see that even in the demo, the speed to answer to this kind of request is around 1 to 2 seconds. Okay, so we are able to give you an answer via this ITSM interface in less than 2 seconds. Okay, so here again, okay, we have the same result. Okay, with the details, you can jump, of course, in the descriptions, and this is something which is also so we can filter, okay, on knowledge article, subnote, etc. Okay, so it will filter, and what we have there is if you were in the session just before in the big room, you see that they were able to generate. So this is a preview, huh? We don't have it live yet, but they are able to generate documents based on the solutions. Okay, and here it's the same. What we have is that this is what we will provide later on, is that we are able to generate a description of the solutions. Okay, so here we'll take all the content that we if the video is a little bit longer, but it should be fast. Okay, so here it will. Yes, it will generate, okay, for you a readable readable document which mix all the different solutions and try to make somewhere not a guided procedure but something like that, where you will see, okay, your issue, you can see it's readable. When you have this issue, you should check that, and so on and so on. Okay, so this is a it's like a chat GPT, no, it's like a SAP GPT for the solutions. Okay. So here, this is what we have, and what we will provide. Okay, so you can imagine that you can build on your own service desk these predefined self solutions, and can be. Okay, you have the reference to the source, but it can be also provided to your IT people, to your key user, to be able to find the solution by themselves on the issues they have with the SAP system. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, I need to go back to your presentation. This is it.
Thank you, Frederick. Yes, a very good demo, I find, especially the last part, so that generative part, like you said, to the SAP Chat GPT or like the Google summary we have in Google, that's something you can also, or we expect that in the future you will have creative solutions how to bring that best to your users. Yeah? So it can be an answering system, it can be a Q&A system, it can be this kind of summarization to accelerate with generated answers. And we can say this ourselves in Get Support. We have generated answers for quite a while now. We've seen improvement in some of the search KPIs, and that's something we also expect to happen on customer and partner side. So I'm really curious and excited what will happen when we expose it, and which of you might want to leverage that, and what we will see on your end. So, excuse me? The generated will come. I mean, we go with the generated service live in Get Support at the beginning of November. As far as I remember, it was the 4th of November. Then you will see there during case creation what we call the generative ISM, and exactly that service we want them to expose via the API. Yeah. I mean, technically, for those of you who are familiar, these are not reaction times of 300 milliseconds, respectively end-to-end 2 seconds. Generative content always takes longer, but this is also the reason why we, in this demo, showed it separately, because it might make sense to get the answers first, in the back end, retrieve the generated answer, and then bring it to display. So that would be a reasonable integration, considering the time, which is typical for this LLM output. You get normally via streaming, but I mean, creating a streaming interface might be too much of an effort here. So that's about the knowledge integration. As said, that service is now decoupled from all other parameters. As you said, there's only the pure request that is needed, so can be used on any spot in your process. And after the live demo, we want to now look into what is next. Service request integration, as said, a big demand from many customers, and I want this in kind of an intro, say why that is not a no-brainer for us. When we compare the ticket integration, where we have a stable definition, yeah, as said, for 30 years, service request integration is a completely different topic. Every service request is catered to the needs of the service, and therefore every service request, as you or most of you know, has different fields and attributes. So meaning if we in our catalogs offer, let's say 200 different services, we could create 200 different APIs, then with everything you need, but we do not know if that would make everyone happy, including us, and therefore we put a lot of thought into that. We will now start with 2 services. Yeah? The one will be the read of service requests, yeah? And the other one will be the update of service requests. And this might sound a little simple. Still, it allows us to realize a specific concept around that. And the concept is that we want to go for standardized data, because we had in mind how can integration look simple and be simple while you have maximum information you can retrieve or change. And the idea was that we looked into all service requests we currently have and identified those fields they have all in common. So the standard fields, as we call we defined that. That would give you at least a good overview about the service request status, about where it is, who is responsible, what type it is about, what is the content of it, and where it is in its status flow towards fulfillment. With that standardized definition, we equipped or we built a set of APIs for the read. And that would mean for you, once it's available and single integration of these APIs is sufficient, that you can retrieve all of them. Will you get all and every single attribute? No, but the idea behind is that you get a good overview, that you understand where SAP service request currently is, that you can categorize, list, slice and dice it, and if you say you want to know the exact details, the exact attributes, still can jump to SAP for me for the details. The same we have in mind for the update, so the same kind of process. What can be standardized, be updated in bigger service requests, in longer running service requests? That will be the second stage. And kind of summarizing the facts around that. So we plan to provide a new API. This will be also offered via Cloud ALM in the same way the case integration. As said before, the focus will be on those service requests you today create and manage in SAP for me. The private cloud workspace, for example, there you have all of them. I think most of you might have worked with service requests. May I do a quick question? Who of you worked already with SAP service requests? Okay, there are some. So for all the others, if you come across, it's quite some effort behind that. And here exactly is the point where we connect. And as said, two capabilities we will start with. The one is the read, and the other one is the update. Now, the elephant in the room question, what about the create? We answer here too. We are technically fully aware that would require, of course, to provide all fields, every single attribute, and consider potentially also field validation. So what we are currently doing, we evaluating different concepts. We want to re-evaluate also based on the demand we see from your side towards the read and the update in 26, which way we want to go. We fully understood that especially bigger customers claim, okay, we want and we would be interested in an end-to-end coverage of service requests, so that's fully understood. Still, currently in the development, it's not. The re-evaluation 26 will be crucial for us and for you too, and then we will decide how we want to tackle that. Technically, this means, to also be clear about the process, that with that integration, the service request would be created on SAP for me side as normal. The internal document represents the entity in your ITSM solution, so your internal change or service request. And then once that is done, you can integrate that and bond it to your internal document, so you will see all the updates and can follow up. In case needed, also provide an update until the service request is fulfilled, respectively completed. With that, it's documented, and with that, you have also the possibility, when there's any change, that you trigger any kind of workflow in your system. So that is the basic process. As said, we still see the creation on the SAP for me side until we decide otherwise. And with that, I would like to proceed now to the roadmap of the 4 new offerings we discussed. The support knowledge integration, as said, is available today already. The next extension would then be updates in the area of enhanced AI and generative search and resolutions. The support case integration for the VAR-delivered support partners is planned until the end of the year. We will see in Q1 the service request read, and then we plan for 26. Most likely we finished in 26, potentially could go into 27, but we are currently optimistic in 26 also to offer the update of service requests. The re-evaluation, as said, would also happen in 26, so therefore in the middle of next year at the latest, there would be an update from our side regarding the creation of service requests. Right. And with that, we are at the end of our session. I say already now a big thank you, and also in your name, Frederic. We are open for questions if there are any, but of course we will also be available after the session for any questions. So I see here some. Do we have a microphone?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, Dennis Linkenheil, lead architect, Mercedes-Benz. So my first question, I never worked with an SAP service request, but how do you make it to end up in 200 different fields? I didn't get that, because, I mean, we have many, you know, we've signed a RISE contract, and we're trying now to somehow get our teams onboarded into the same way of working, yeah, sort of, as we do it for our other data centers. And it seems like that we have only a front end in SAP for me, for raising service requests. And this is a massive challenge to our whole organization.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I never worked with SAP service requests,
Right.
at least not with those complex ones, but I worked with many other service requests. Somehow it seems that it works everywhere else besides the SAP hosting service. And I would like to understand why this is the case, or you could maybe guide me a bit.
Right. No, absolute valid question. I don't know if everybody could hear. I mean, the question was very clear about how to work with SAP service requests and that complexity. Regarding the numbers that were mentioned, the service request itself, for example, to restart the system is simple. Might be 3-4 fields, a date, time, what system is, who is maybe a contact person, something like that. Another one, and that's the point I wanted to make, would look different. Maybe to restart a system might not be the same like for upgrading a system or changing a configuration. So the point we wanted to make is that an API for restarting a system might look like different than an API for any other purpose. Yeah? So here we have the differentiation. So if you look for a full integration, you would need to trigger this one differently with different data than with that data. And as we, for the entirety of all our products might have, let's say, around 200 different services that can be offered via service request, that would create that complexity. And this we want to tackle with standardization. So this is the answer to that. Yeah? But it's also true that that when you generate, the interface is SAP for me, and this is also what we understand where this story might go, that you in the end can say whatever product you have and whatever service you want to execute, how you could manage to trigger that service via service request from your ITSM solution, because that is the standard assumption that you initiated with a document on your end. Yeah. Yeah, I'm also happy that we extend the discussion because I think it's a good topic, but I think I think to a certain extent, I would say we hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, it confirms that there's the need for this kind of integration. And I mean, actually for me, it's good to hear that, and I would really be happy to have a few words around that, because it should be the driver. And I also have to say, of course, bigger companies like Mercedes are the main focus of this development. Thank you. Do we have any question? Mm-hmm.
Will that have to be then
Yeah, so master data you would
Need to download it.
yeah, usually kind of retrieve up front. You would store it. I mean, the way you store it is totally up to you. Could be a CMDB, can be some tables. You could, for example, also want to offer that when your customers create tickets. Yeah, so for the ticket creation, included is S users, the installed base of your customers, and of course the components. Yeah, that might be relevant. So that are the standard.
Landscape.
Sorry?
Well, you download the landscape. We have an extended landscape API, which allow you to download all the information. So I mean, of course, you will have to store it because we provide only an API, okay? But you will have all the systems with all the users attached to the system and so on. I mean, the S user attached to the system. Huh? So you will have everything available, and you will be able to download it for all your customers. So it will be based always on the S user. So we have to provide you your S user partner, which has the access to everything, and then you will be able to download everything on your side. Of course, you will have to store. And after, when we think about the process, is that when you will create a ticket, okay, you will have all the landscape information to be able to specify the ticket and the object of the ticket.
Yeah, so it's a complete package.
Yeah.
Tailored for the partners. Yeah.
From the API, you have the contact, the landscapes, the system, the solutions, everything which is there for you.
Okay, one more question maybe.
That's me, Daniel Kopisch from NTT, also partner. Is this then impacting the traffic also, the API traffic? Retrieving all this landscape information, as user information, plus sending the synchronization of tickets for the API?
So of course you will have to think about when you download the things. So what we think is that
We have this limit.
yes, you have the limit, of course. But what we think is that we think that you will download or you will update the landscape only once a day. Okay, this is what we think. What we put in place with the other customer. That you every day you will update the landscape, okay, on your site, okay, and the ticketing is something else. You have no limitation because it's only a small amount of data that you transfer, except if you speak about attachment, which is something else, but only a few data, so you will not have the issue with the 8 gigabytes. Yes, attachment, yes, yeah, should be okay.
Yeah.
Is it dependent which SAP Cloud ALM tenant you use? So for instance,
Yes.
you have several countries, several subsidiaries with
Yes.
contracts, but the global.
Yes. So in this case, you will have to unify your tenant, and there is one thing that I should show you. This is a corporate global corporate group. Okay, when you define your tenant is having a lot of customer IDs. Okay, and like that you can import and use like that. Yeah. Yeah, CCC, yes. Yeah.
So you have to flex somehow this.
Yeah.
Okay. Good, then thank you for the questions, I would say. Then according to our streamlined program, half an hour sessions, and then you have to rush. We thank you very much for the participation. And as I said, we are here until Thursday in case of any questions.
Okay,
Thank you.